I've been having so much fun producing the Maverick Makers Podcast every week, and hopefully you've been enjoying all of the episodes thus far. If you'd like to see a certain Maverick or two on the show, I encourage you to reach out and let me know. This week we have Jolene Brewster. Jolene is the owner, operator, and tea lover of Jolene's Tea House. She is a true embodiment of Alberta's Wild West spirit. A former rodeo queen and Calgary Stampede queen, crowned in 2000, she's a proud Alberta cowgirl who has since become a successful entrepreneur, mother, and wife. As the visionary behind Banff's annual Christmas market and the owner of Jolene's Tea House on historic Bear Street, Jolene brings the traditions of mountain tea to life. With over 60 varieties of organic hand-blended teas and a collection of locally made treasures, her tea house offers an authentic Canadian Rockies experience. And if you happen to be in Banff, I encourage you to visit her location. Now, if you're ready to hear her story, let's go. Jolene, Jolene, Jolene. That was my version of Dolly Parton. Wasn't the greatest, but I am thrilled to welcome Jolene Brewster to the Maverick Makers Podcast this week. We're going to talk about all things entrepreneurship, her Maverick journey, as well as the tea business. So welcome, Jolene.
Thank you for having me today.
Was I terrible in my rendition of Jolene?
You missed a few notes.
Fair. I can appreciate the song, but I got nothing on Dolly, so it's all good. Anyways, we'll just get started and park my, song and singing career till another time. And let's talk about who has been the biggest sort of influences and mavericks in your life.
Well, both of my parents were very entrepreneurial to the point where that was my way of life growing up. I never actually considered anything but what I was going to do or build or create. It was just really a part of our family and who we were. And, I would say that my parents were very open with us. They were very hardworking, and our dinner conversation would often be about, one of my parents' businesses, what was happening, what their challenges were. And my sister and I were such an active part of the conversation. It was that was just our life. That was very normal.
I love it. And were you involved, or did they bring you into parts of the businesses?
My parents expected us to be very hardworking. And so we would have, my sister and I started with our own side businesses, hobby businesses growing up. But they definitely expected a lot of free work as well. So we would have been an active part of cleaning, building, painting. My dad he was in the oil industry, and he had big shop and warehouses in Red Deer, Alberta. And on the weekends, my sister and I, we were the janitorial team, and we would go in and, I remember countless evenings with late nights at the shop with pizzas, and it just, we operated as a family in business, and my parents worked together as well. So we were all hands on deck.
I love it. It sounds very similar to most people who have entrepreneurial parents. I distinctly remember doing the same thing. My dad was in the appliance business, so I'd be like cleaning air conditioners and, lifting them up at age 9 and, sweeping the floor, writing invoices back then when there was, pre-computer. So I totally get it. But I think that's probably what got that entrepreneurial bug inside of you.
Yes, absolutely. I think I love the freedom and independence and the ability to create something. You put your mind to it, and then you make it happen.
Yeah, I love it. Amazing. So let's talk about your Maverick journey. And boy, do you have a story. So we go from cowgirl and Stampede queen to entrepreneur. So take us through the paces and how it all got started.
Well, I suppose yes, my background in horses and rodeo and being a cowgirl, again, I'm a very Alberta girl. That's where I was born and bred. And I think the true Western spirit behind that all, it's women with a lot of grit who aren't afraid of rolling up their sleeves and getting the job done, and sharing as much as you can with others. Um, that has really been my motto in life. And although I did come from a Western background, how did I get into tea? I've also been, fascinated with health and wellness and nature. I live in a very beautiful part of the world. I studied Ayurvedic medicine for a little while. I worked with a naturopath, and I just, the idea that you can look to nature for your answers, and the simplicity of tea and herbs and the preventative health. There was a stage in my life that was very, very fascinating. But the more I got into tea, the more I realized, the ceremony of tea itself is the secret of life. That was very meaningful to me. Um, my mom is from a long line of women who are makers of things. They do things with their hands. And I think I've always been very drawn to things I could make. And so making the tea blends was also just a natural fit for me, something I could taste and try and share, do myself and then try and do it better than anyone else. And just going back to the quality of the ingredients, organic. I was really ahead of the curve when it came to that. That was before organic tea was very big, but it was very important to me at that time. Um, and I think all entrepreneurs have one thing in common as well. We get bored easily. So when you find something in life that you realize you're going to spend your whole life learning about, and there's going to be endless growing and you'll never know it all, that was a perfect fit for me. And the world of tea is certainly that. It's very similar to the wine industry as far as every season has a different agricultural outcome, and there's different regions that have different circumstances affecting the flavor, and I found that fascinating. So it all fit together in the bigger puzzle.
That is all fascinating. I'm just going to bring up 2 points that really caught my attention when you're talking about your Maverick story. One is the concept of looking to nature for your answers. I think that's beautiful. So maybe we can just expand a little bit on that. And for me, that's super important too, because I'm all about naturopathic medicine and trying to figure out different ways that are, of course, conventional medicine does have to come into play at times. But if we can look at things that can heal us or make us better, I think it's brilliant. So let's talk about
that. Prevention is the best medicine.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's so much power in the simplicity of nature. And that's what I actually found very interesting about tea when I was looking at different brands, 10, 20 years ago, is they had a lot of different ingredients in them, where tea should be very simple. It is different herbs and flowers and leaves, and that's it. And you steep them in hot water. There should be nothing else.
So the additives that people put in everything in North America.
Mm-hmm.
Fun. Okay. Fair enough. And the other thing that caught my attention as well is you mentioned something about the special ceremony of tea. So let's talk about that and how that got you excited about all of this.
Yes, I think that's very interesting. For example, my grandfather, he loved his red rose. And I was like, oh, my grandpa likes black tea. So I'm going to give him the best black tea I have and see how he likes it. And what he really likes is my grandma making his red rose tea in his brown Betty teapot at 2 p.m. every day and serving it with a little side of toast. And I realized, instantly, like, watching him and he's, oh, your tea was very nice. It's a little bit stronger than I normally like it. We all need ceremony in life. And they're just simple moments we create throughout the day. And, I live in Banff. This is the area I grew up in. And a very old guide once told me how important tea is to, so he was actually a heli-ski guide. And he said, this is one of the most important part of their day. They have guests come from all over the world, pay incredible amounts of money to be taken out by helicopter. And yet it is the tea in the mountains that they stop and they, religiously do. That's their break, their refreshment. That's how you reinvigorate to go back again, take a moment of pause. And I realized that the tea in the mountains has always been a very important ceremony for people. You would never take a thermos of coffee out in the mountains. That would be both very dehydrating. It's very heavy. It's not really the right drink for nature, where tea is your perfect companion.
Wow, I love that. That's beautiful. It's amazing. And how did you come up with Jolene's teas?
Jolene's Tea House. I so I've lived in Banff the last 20 years. I grew up on a farm and ranch outside, and I think Banff is filled with a lot of people. We call it Peter Pan syndrome. All those young people who never want to grow up. You just want to embrace life and have every day for yourself and do all the amazing sports that come along with mountains. And I think with that, there is a lot of ego, and it's a much more masculine environment. And so I felt like Jolene's Tea House, the name is very memorable, thanks to Dolly Parton, one of my idols. But B, I loved the play on, the amazing women in the history of mountains who have been here since the beginning. I think the mountains are such an interesting place too, because it was one of those escapes for women from the normal confines of society. You could be out, climbing mountains, riding your horse, exploring, either with a guide taking you out or, with another group of women. Women got to be very independent here, and they played a huge role in developing these mountain towns, and especially Banff. And so I thought it was just such a it was just a thank you to all the amazing women in Banff, but also like a fun play on the feminine side as well.
Amazing. That's awesome. And what's your favorite tea?
That's an impossible one to answer because
Fair.
I really think tea is like music. It depends on the time of day. It depends on the mood you're in. It depends on the weather. Um, yeah, you really choose the right song for the right moment.
Okay, I like that answer. That's great. Tell us about Banff and why you decided to open up your retail location there.
Banff is the most beautiful place in the world,
Mhm.
and there was nowhere else I wanted to be. I think that business is such a labor of love. And often there will be times you question why you're in business. There is easier ways to make money, especially the tea business. The tea business is like tea itself. It is a very slow process. So it's taken me 20 years to get to this point. And, if I was going to do something I loved, this slowly and work this hard with this many free volunteer hours that I've put in, I needed to be in a place that I love.
And Banff is amazing. We talked about it. It's just a magical, magical place.
It's majestic. Yes.
It really, really is. What do you love most about being an entrepreneur?
Freedom.
Mm.
And it is interesting because you put so much time into your business. There are moments that you feel like life would be easier if you just had a job and made your money and got to go home at the end of the day and put it down. I was a single mom, and I had my business for several years, and I was very nervous at one point because I knew I could not take a maternity leave. I wouldn't get all those other benefits. I had to keep running my business to keep it going forward. And I remember a lady telling me that, you're in the ideal position, that like being an entrepreneur and raising a family goes so well together. You can make it all work. And she was 100% right. And I mean, my kids have come everywhere with me, helped me with everything. I used to call when my daughter was born, she was a little baby Buddha, because one thing, she really helped me decide what actually mattered and what actually was important. And you start to work smarter, not just hard all the time.
And now you're passing on that entrepreneurial, nurture nature into your kids. So I think that's wonderful. So it's beautiful, amazing. Who are your biggest inspirations?
Well, Banff is a very interesting community. A lot of people who come here have left their family to do so. Over the years, your friends become your family. And I have been lucky enough to surround myself with the most amazing women that they're my inspiration. Also, a lot of them are entrepreneurs. Their values, their integrity, they just keep raising the bar for me. I think our friends really hold a mirror up to us as well. And so we can really see who we are and what we're doing. But yeah, and I think when you are in business for yourself, when you meet friends along the way in their own businesses, you have a similar journey, and it doesn't matter how business or how different your businesses are. There's a lot of stories that help you. You gain a lot of advice, and you can support each other. And so, yeah, my friends are my inspiration.
That's so nice. I hope they're listening. And what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Keep giving everything you have.
Hmm.
And I don't mean that in working hard, but actually just keep sharing everything you have.
Hmm.
I think it's so nice to keep that door open. And I mean, it all comes back to you in so many different ways, but that's really what life's about.
You're absolutely right. And what's your favorite saying of all time?
Bread and water can so easily be toast and tea.
That's a great one. Very applicable. It's beautiful. Love it. And if you weren't in the tea business, what would you be doing?
Well, I thought of that once. I thought, I had a daughter, and I was, probably another 3 jobs at one point and trying to make it all work. And I just thought, maybe I need to stop some of the entrepreneur stuff and just, focus on making money and keeping things simple. And when I thought about that, I thought, if I didn't have my tea business, what would I do? And I instantly thought, well, I would just start another tea business because I have to. I need good tea all the time. I love this. And the idea of building another business from scratch instantly made me realize I was crazy, and I have a tea business for life. That's just it.
Fair enough. There you go. The calling. The calling is there. Absolutely. Amazing. Well, are you ready for the lightning round?
Sure.
Okay, so whatever comes to your mind, just say it, and let's go with these quick fire questions. So, day or night?
Day.
Okay, perfect. What's your biggest
I love sleeping. I love
fair? But you pick day.
Just because I want to sleep at night, but I like to enjoy the day.
Okay. Okay, got it. Fair. Okay, and what's your biggest fear?
Failing.
No such things, failing?
I think business is one of those things you become very fear driven. A lot of days you wake up and you don't want to let everyone down, your employees down, yourself down, your family down. So yeah, I think that's the heaviest responsibility of all, is not to fail and let everyone down.
Sure.
Right, wrong, in between. That's my fear.
What's your greatest strength?
Um, Finding good people.
That's
It's a gift. I just yeah, I have the ability. I have always been surrounded by amazing people, and I can just see something in people when I meet them, and I'm very, very lucky that way. It's a gift.
That is a gift. That's a superpower for sure. Fact or fiction?
Absolutely fiction.
Makes sense. One famous person you would love to meet and why, and I might know the answer to this one.
Oh, one famous person. Well, I mean, obviously Dolly Parton. I mean, seriously, I would love to go to a Dolly Parton concert someday, but to meet her, oh my, if you listen to interviews, she is just the coolest, smartest lady.
She's amazing. She's such an inspiration, and she's badass in her own way. Like, she really is.
In every way, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. Love it. Maybe you'll sing with her, because I'm not going to sing ever again. What's your last meal on earth?
Nachos. I'm such a ski bum at heart.
Lovely. With or without meat?
Without meat.
Okay. Sounds good. With some guacamole?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. We're on the same page. Amazing. Dress up or dress down?
Dress up. There's never enough opportunities to dress up in life.
I absolutely agree. You are in a time machine. What year or era are you traveling to?
Oh, I would 100% go back to the 1800s. The big skirts, traveling everywhere by horse. I mean, I spent my entire childhood, playing this with my sister and friends. So yeah, that's an easy one. No one has read Little House on the Prairie, the entire series, more than me. I'm sure I've read every book 20 times. I just think it was the Wild West era was such a, beautiful romantic period in life.
And what a great TV show afterwards. I didn't read the books, but the TV show was one of my favorites. So.
Oh, the adventure, heading west into unknown territory. I was born for that.
Amazing. How do you want to change the world?
Oh, how do I want to change the world? I think that changing the world is figuring out how you can contribute, and that generally starts with your own hands in what you can touch around you. And as a mom, I've got 2 kids. I would also say that my greatest hope for my kids is they figure out how they can contribute.
Beautiful. Final question. What's next?
What's next? I'm really, really happy right now. I would just like things to continue like this as long as possible. I love my tea business. I love the people I work with. I love this stage in Banff right now. I'm having a lot of fun. So I just, I just am savoring this moment.
Beautiful. As we all should, live in the moment. Well, I absolutely loved our conversation, all your wisdom, your journey. Thank you for sharing your beautiful background of the mountains and the snow and the trees. Holy moly, am I inspired. In any case, thank you so much for listening. Thanks, Jolene, for being on the show. The Maverick Makers Podcast is sponsored by Maverick Makers Content Creation Collective. We fuel your content pipeline through video, photography, design, and editorial. Let's connect to your audiences and make more sales. Learn more at maverickmakersco.com.